So some of you have been linking this over to me. The whole world went silent when the Queen of Denmark spoke about the Filipino people. Now, the Filipino people are absolutely incredible people. I love them so much. This is why I went to the Philippines myself, experienced it myself. It's on my channel, and I've honestly fell in love. Honestly, the talents and everything else is just one of the greatest things in the world, and I will never ever forget it, and I will never stop remembering it. Now, with that being said, all the other videos I've reacted to about other, very popular figures, I should say, is, talking about the Philippines. This one in particular caught my eye because the Queen of Denmark, I've never been to Denmark. I'll go one day, but I am excited to see what she said about the Filipino people. You guys have linked this over, so without further ado, come join me. Let's see it together. Let's go.
Have you heard about it? The whole world stood still at the words the Queen of Denmark said about the Filipino people. It wasn't a politician or a social activist who gave the speech. It was a queen speaking the truth that millions had been waiting for so long to hear. And that truth brought tears to the eyes of millions. Meet Queen Margrethe II, the remarkable woman behind the words that shook the world. Born during the war, in a time when Denmark was under Nazi occupation.
Oh my goodness.
Margrethe didn't grow up in a palace filled only with rituals. She grew up surrounded by truths, by questions about humanity, and about what it truly means to be a leader at a time when peace was never a guarantee. Even as a child, she was so fond of books that she could read for hours in the palace library without being reminded. But the remarkable thing wasn't just the books she read. It was the questions she asked after turning each page. Her question wasn't, "Who am I?" but "What can I do to make life better for others?" As the first female heir to the throne in an era when women still had to fight for equal footing, Margrethe didn't just accept the role, she turned it into her personal mission. In her 20s. While many other royals strolled through Versailles gardens. She wore a khaki coat, grabbed a pickaxe, and joined an archaeological dig in Italy. Her colleagues recalled how she never asked for special treatment. She dug through soil like they did, ate lunch on rocky fields like they did, and passionately debated history like a true student. She didn't need to have her face on every coin, but she placed kindness in every small gesture. One time, when her driver caught a cold, instead of just giving orders, she made ginger tea with her own hands and told him to rest. It seemed like a simple act, but it revealed everything about her character. Margrethe is a woman who can discuss philosophy in French.
That's incredible. And by the way, like, most people would look at that and be like, okay, she just made tea for him, but it's really the concept of, okay, she's a queen, and most queens are like, hey, you're sick, you just don't come to work or don't come to this, right? Get away from me, right? Most people are like, hey, we can't see each other today. But instead, she took it upon herself to be like, hey, like, I'm gonna make some tea for you, maybe I'll help you get better. She didn't even have to do that. That's the concept, right? And you usually don't have to do it, period, but she decided to do it for one of her drivers because why not? Rather than just send him home or anything like that. It's something that is like a small thing, but it peeps into how real this person really is when it comes to being genuine.
Talk about Baroque architecture in German.
Incredible.
And joke around with kids in Danish, all with a gentle voice, never with arrogance, and in a modern world where empathy is slowly fading. She, a woman wearing a crown, still kept the heart of an ordinary person.
Maybe that's why her words about the Filipino people touched so many hearts. Because they weren't royal pleasantries. They were words of truth, spoken by someone real. Someone who has lived every role in her life with authenticity. A woman, a scholar, a mother, a wife, and a soul who observes the world through unconditional love. And that's exactly why the whole world went silent when she spoke.
The moment every eye turned to her. That night's banquet had no shortage of dazzling lights, no shortage of fine wine, and no shortage of polite laughter echoing between diplomats, but all of that faded in a single fleeting moment. When the Queen stood up, everyone assumed she was going to deliver the usual diplomatic speech, the kind people nod politely at, then go back to their meal, but her voice low, steady, and without a microphone cut through the chatter, like a quiet blade. When we speak of strength, we often think of weapons and power, but if there is such a thing as quiet strength, resilient, unboastful, I immediately think of the Filipino people.
Oh, wow.
No one said a word. Some even stopped chewing. Spoons frozen mid-air. A Swiss ambassador later recalled it was the first time he'd seen a political hall fall as silent as a cathedral.
Oh my goodness, bro.
She went on
I
without
got goosebumps.
pause, as if every word had already been engraved in her heart. I have seen them in hospital hallways, in distant sea vessels, in homes where they're not the owners, but they do not bring complaints, they bring light. Some blinked repeatedly. A Canadian delegate quickly pulled out a handkerchief, and when she mentioned Alona, the Filipina who had cared for a member of her family, the silence in the room turned from cold to a warm wave of shared emotion.
Dude, that could make me cry, man. I genuinely just felt like this tingled through my heart, and I feel goosebumps right now, mainly because of how beautiful it is to almost shock everybody with something that they don't expect, right? That's really why they got shocked. They did not expect for the Queen of Denmark to just speak about the Philippines just so suddenly, right? But she just felt she had to because of what she's experienced and seen. And so that's why it felt so abrupt to everyone, right? Why they froze. And I love the way that the narrator's explaining it, because it really is like spoons stopped in motion. Everyone stopped chewing, like, what? When did we get on the topic of Philippines, right? And then she said, these are things that need to be seen, the way that they don't bring complaints, they bring light. Wonderfully said, because that is incredible, man. That is one way I see it 100%. This even being with typhoons, for example, I have that video on my channel. It's incredible, right? These things are horrible things. There's horrible situations. You can always look at it in a negative light. If you want, you can be like, I left my family. My family is gone. I'm over here in this country doing the hospital work, yada, yada, and you can complain. Everyone can complain. Even I can complain. My nose is itchy all the time. You can find something to complain about. But in the Philippines, it's almost like they don't want to. They don't want to because they don't see a point. They're already used to hardships. And so with that, what they do is they turn that hardship into something that could be a light for other people, a guidance. Incredibly said, bro.
She didn't just care for him. She loved him like her own father.
Oh my
When
goodness.
he passed away, she cried, and none of us dared to comfort her because we were all crying with her.
Oh,
There was no orchestra, no spotlight, yet the whole room lit up with human feeling. Everyone present knew they had just witnessed something rare, not just a speech from a head of state, but a confession from the heart, addressed to a nation, and then something magical happened. No1 was told to. No host signaled it. The entire hall stood up. One by one, dressed in crisp suits and elegant gowns, they clapped, long, very long, not out of courtesy, not because of royal protocol, but because they had just felt their hearts moved, truly and unexpectedly. A female ambassador from Norway turned to the Filipino woman standing beside her and whispered, "Thank you, not just for your work, but for the kindness you've brought to my country."
Dude.
And just like that, what began as a cold diplomatic dinner turned into a moment of shared humanity that history would not forget. When the world woke up together. Just hours after the speech, a short video clip was posted on a small Danish diplomatic account.
Oh my goodness.
Within 24 hours, it appeared on hundreds of thousands of timelines, from Facebook, TikTok, to immigrant community forums. The first comments came from those who are usually the most silent. I'm a nurse in Norway. 15 years. No one's ever asked me how I felt. But today, I feel seen. I'm a welder on a ship in Greece.
Dude, I have goosebumps.
I can
Oh my
only call
gosh.
home twice a month. After hearing her words, I cried in the engine room from Hong Kong. A video showed office overseas Filipino workers gathered after work, watching the Queen's speech together.
Thank you.
When
Any
she
of you who are
mentioned
watching and
Alona,
doing this.
Everyone fell silent. One woman wiped away tears and softly said, "I was like her, in Rome." A group of Filipino churchgoers set up a projector after Sunday Mass. So the whole community could watch the speech. When it ended, no one said a word, They simply stood up and embraced one another. The Filipino community. For the first time, I felt proud to be me. From North America, the Middle East, to Northern Europe, wherever there are Filipino footprints, Queen Margaret's words shone like a small light, illuminating corners of hardship they had long grown used to enduring. A young woman named Camille in California shared,
Dude, I could
"My
cry.
mother works as a housekeeper in Denmark. When I video called her, she was crying. I've never seen my mom cry from happiness before, but this time," she said, "I feel like I matter." A man named Rogelio, cook on a cruise ship, said he printed the Queen's speech and taped it inside his small cabin locker, next to a photo of his wife and kids. Whenever I miss home, I look at those words, and I remember I am not invisible. European media began reporting on the speech. Humanitarian organizations reposted the full transcript. Politicians in Denmark took turns writing formal thank you notes addressed to the Filipino community. This wasn't just viral. This was recognition.
Yeah.
This was awakening. This was a miracle in an age where compassion is often buried under busyness and indifference. Queen Margaret didn't hand out compliments. She offered respect. And with that, she awakened the world. So, if you're watching this video right now, and no matter who you are, where you are, or what you do, remember this. No one is invisible as long as they carry compassion. No one is just a worker if they live with a strong heart. And no one is small if they can move a queen to tears. A lesson for us from those who always stand behind the scenes. We often admire the ones on stage making speeches, signing big agreements, but it's easy to forget the ones who choose to stay in the background,
Yo, this
quietly
is incredibly
contributing
said.
to others' success, never asking for praise. Filipinos are those people. They don't shout for attention. They don't boast to be recognized. They simply live, work, and love with all their heart. In a noisy world.
Yeah.
Strength is often measured by dominance, but maybe it's time we learned a new definition of strength.
Yeah.
One that comes from those often seen as small. Strength is waking up at a.m., working through freezing snow, and sending most of your salary home for your child's education. Strength is calling at midnight, smiling wide even though your eyes are red from missing home. Strength is when someone calls you a servant, but you still treat them like family. Filipinos are not just maids, nurses, mechanics, or sailors. They are the ones keeping kindness alive,
Yeah.
even in the driest corners of the world. In a hospital room. When a patient has only days left, they are the ones holding their hand like a child would. In the cold kitchens of wealthy mansions, they season food with memories of home. On the ship deck in the middle of the ocean, they lull themselves to sleep with silent lullabies, trying to forget the baby cries they miss back home. We often think of heroes as those who change the world with grand power, but today, a queen from a faraway land reminded us. There is another kind of hero, a hero without medals, not in the news, not even named. A hero is someone who sacrifices every day in silence. Filipinos teach this
Wow.
world a priceless truth. You don't need to stand out to be worthy of honor. You just need to love deeply enough so others can feel it, and that lesson will never fade.
Thank you guys for everything, and honestly, I appreciate you guys. And this is not only because of the video itself, but really anyone who's watching and doing this, thank you. I will always make sure to say thank you and have gratitude, because every day I wake up, the main thing you want to think about is being grateful for waking up, being grateful for seeing the things you do around you, being able to see, maybe being able to talk, maybe being able to breathe. Overall, there's always something to be grateful about. And it's wonderful when you strip away everything else and you look at a human for being a human, and making mistakes and this and that. And it's a really beautiful thing that Filipinos are really able to do, and it's honestly incredible. Thank you guys for everything, and thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hey, if you liked it, leave a like. If you loved it, subscribe. If you want more, let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, till next time, guys. Peace.
A river runs through dreams are woven in fragile hands.